Okay, for our homemade chicken pie today, first of all, I've split and washed a couple of small leeks and finally started to chop them. We're going to sweat those off in a saucepan until they're soft in a little bit of butter and salt and pepper. Now these are on a medium-high heat. We're going to just give them a good fry on that butter and salt and pepper, get them all coated and let them cook down a little bit. And when they've started to soften, I'm just going to put the lid on, leave them on a low heat, turn it right down to low and just let them simmer for a few minutes before turning it off. And these are going to go into our chicken pie along with an easy to make filling. It's going to provide a lovely creamy sauce around our chicken and our leeks, and that's a tin of creamed chicken condensed Campbell soup, and the same with mushroom. So we're going to have beautiful chicken and mushroom flavouring to go with our chicken and leek. Obviously the chicken I'm using is been in my pressure cooker. It was used to make my chicken bone broth, so it's not got any flavour now. It needs to be given that flavour back, and these two soups combined with the leeks are going to do that. We'll just keep stirring that and then give it a simmer for a few minutes before we add the soup and the chicken. Now I'm being lazy today, I'm not making my own pastry. I've just bought a frozen block of shortcrust pastry. It's about just under an inch thick, probably about 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches wide. It's the normal sort of frozen block that you get in UK supermarkets. And I've just cut it, well, not slightly in half. I've got a slightly larger piece to the left, only slightly larger. That's going to be the base. I want a slightly thicker base, so a bit more pastry on that. And the other smaller part is going to be the top. So we'll roll those out and get those into our pie dish that I'm using today. This is quite a large, sort of 11 inch dish. Normally I'd use it for a quiche or something like that, or a flan, but today it's going to be the pie dish. I'm going to grease that well before I put the bottom layer of pastry down, just to help it come out. So let's get rolling this pastry out. Okay, first layer of dough rolled out slightly bigger than the dish because it's got to come up the sides, and we're going to trim it nicely. And the dish has been well buttered, so let's get that in. And there we go. I've just rolled a rolling pin just slightly over the edge so that we get it a little bit over the corner edge of the dish, and that'll help us to put our top layer together on it. I've not pricked the bottom at all, don't want anything oozing out. So that's ready for us to put the filling in, which we'll finish in a minute once I've rolled the top out. Okay, here's our sweated leeks, nice and soft now. All they needed was the lid on and about 5 minutes simmer, and then I turn them off. But they're not going to be chewy or anything when they're in the pie, they're going to be lovely. And they smell delicious. And what we're going to add to that is our Campbell's condensed soups. So I've got cream of chicken one here, so we're just putting all of that in. It's quite thick at this stage, but don't worry. We're going to add a little bit of chicken stock to it, just to break it down a bit if needed, and then the mushroom. So we've got both flavours going back into the chicken there, because we've obviously had them in the pressure cooker and there's not a lot of flavour left. So we're just going to stir that in. It's going to be very thick and gloopy at the moment, but as I said, we're just going to break it down with a little bit of chicken stock that I've got. And I'll show you the consistency afterwards. Okay, I've added about 5 or 6 fluid ounces of my homemade chicken stock. It's come from the chicken that we're going to put into this pie, and just it's just loosened it up a bit. Can see. Now obviously as that cooks, that will go runnier, so we're when it's nice and warm, it's not going to be as thick, but that is perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add our chicken to that mix and bulk it out with that, and then put it into the pastry case. Okay, I've taken a couple of the chicken breasts, just halved them lengthways and then chopped through them to produce quite a large sort of dice. See the shadow of my hand there. Large sort of dice. I want large chunks of chicken. I don't want it to shred or anything like that. Try and keep it as whole as we can. And a little bit of the wing and thigh meat chopped up as well. So we're going to add that to our leeks and soup mixture, and then put it into the case. Very gently just put the spoon underneath and lifted it over, and then turned the pan and done it again, so not to break that chicken up, so it's still in nice big chunks in that pie. It's not gone shredded or anything like that, so I've not mixed it well at all. I've just turned it over very gently just to combine the contents. Okay, the pastry case is filled. Comes up nicely just before the top. Perfect amount. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the top over that I've rolled out and crimp it and finish it off, and then I'm going to egg wash it and just sprinkle it with a little bit of mixed herb that's got some thyme in it, because thyme will go well with the chicken and the mushroom flavour, just to give it a bit of a crust and a herby crust to the top of the pie. And there we have it. I've put the top on, crimped around the edges, and then rolled the rolling pin over the top just to break off the excess pastry but leave it sealed. And then we give it an egg wash with a little bit of milk in it, whipped up, just to give it a nice golden crust, and then a sprinkling of mixed herbs with thyme in it, and some salt and cracked black pepper, and that will just give the crust a lovely flavour. So oven is set to about 180. Fan oven, and it's going to go in there for initially half an hour, and I'm just going to check on it, and then we'll see how it comes out. Just out of the oven at half an hour at 180 degrees, and then turned up to about 190, and just gave it another 15 minutes. That's just crisped up lovely now. It smells delicious. Can't wait for later to have that for my dinner.